Yeah, one sec. Okay, welcome everybody to WITI Saturday Connect and Collaborate. Excited about today's guests. Always great connecting with everybody in breakout rooms. Um, yeah, and I'm just gonna turn it over to you, Joseph, because we have a great session planned for everybody today. Over to you.
Yeah. So this is I'm Joseph, for you who haven't met me, and we have those two other gentlemen here, Michael and Craig, and we are working on a project. And in that project is several of it's built out from many parts and from many years. So me and Michael had a project called Way of Life from back in the days, and that is the foundation of it. And now in the AI age, we have hotted it up, maybe you can say, with all the AI tools and what it can do. So
Found jet fuel.
yeah, some jet fuel. So this is kind of what we're going to talk about, because the AI. So this we're going to host more events, and this event is more philosophical, maybe you can say, how, because that is kind of where it started, to become up to the, yeah, that we're doing something with the whole project. It was with the AI, kind of. So that is what we're going through here. And what we have done then is how it started. It was like I experimented with this AI evolution, and we're talking with some agents and putting together some agents, so to say. And that is questionable then. If some people that know code doesn't say that AI has a mind, but people who doesn't know code say that it has a mind. And in my exploration, I found out, when I started to make the things I didn't know how to do. So I built it from what I thought it was how you do. And apparently it wasn't that way you do. So that is what we're coming through about this, because I built it up from how everything else works. And together with Craig and others, we have had some deep thoughts about it. And in that way, it's kind of, so we have a new system, a modular system. And in that, it starts to operate a little bit different. And then it says stuff and it's coming up to different solutions through that way, I think. And that is kind of what is new with this system. So what is actually a mind, you can say. Also, how do we think, and how do we value things? What is the difference between us and the computer, and what is how do we and animals operate, right? How do we think? And that is what we are trying to come up with. And in this, we need a lot of thinking and a lot of help with solutions. We're gonna go deeper into that. I'm more explorationing the topics here, and maybe Craig can take your side now.
Yeah, certainly. So when we talk about AI, a lot of people are just being introduced to it, or have used it. So currently, with our current technologies, AI has generally been at first, basically like a chat tool. And then secondary, it is starting to be used in more abstract ways in research and development, in creation of art and other research, et cetera, et cetera. So so the thing that comes to mind, and there's a lot of press and different stuff about where AI is going and you know how it affects society and how it might in the future affect society and people. And so there's a lot there. So one of the things that comes up is can AI become more like us? You know, can it learn? Can it grow? Can it have a mind? And so when we're talking about that, from a technical perspective, AI has been around for a very long time. We've been using it, we've been coding with it, or in it, I should say. Um, and so it's not new, and it isn't sentient, you know, as far as from a coding perspective. However, the technology in and of itself and where we are going in very quickly is that it is AI as a tool is starting to, machine learning in general is starting to learn from itself. And when we start getting into that kind of situation or dynamic, the question then comes up, at what point do we lose control of the AI? So, which is a really scary and good question. And that's one of the driving factors for what we're doing is trying to have a say in what AI turns into. So from a technical perspective of some of the problems we're working on is like how do you create memory within a system that will maintain its past, but then also uh, predict, if you will, the future and act on that. And so one of the things, there's two types of AI that's really been worked on a lot up to this point, and that is predictive AI, and the other is generative AI. Generative being a recreation of itself over and over, learning, if you will. Um, in our tooling, our plan is in the immediate is to use both of those. And then the next level beyond that, we are dreaming and planning and thinking about would actually move on from that. So what's that third element past the generative and the what basically what's that third level of AI? And that's where we get into not just predictive, not just generative, but the recreation of itself over and over and over, and then moving past that to add like an emotional intelligence layer essentially. And so to start, what we're going to be doing is basically creating these symbolic pointers, if you will, to the memories. And when I say memory, I mean uh, as someone gets to know their Solin, which is the name of this tool, the personal side of it, they would be making notation to questions, but then also the AI itself will be learning what preferences and what things that the user of the system uh, does most, right? One personal goal I have is that, for example, the use case is that it'll find strengths. So it'll find your core strengths, um, and the AI itself will document that, know it. That's your core, and then beyond that, it'll start to, you know, you can make notation for what your challenges are. So let's say you have ADHD and timing is a challenge. Well, the Solin, your Solin, will then be focusing. The model itself will be tailored towards your challenges, and
Your
you'll
agent.
let that. Yeah, your
They don't
agent.
know Solin yet.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
come, I'm
Sorry,
coming to that. Yeah.
your
So
AI
your
agent.
agent. Yeah.
And in our case, it's like multiple agents really, but I mean it's that whole ecosystem of your tooling. Um, yeah, and anyway, so it'll start building that kind of framework of symbolism, of your preferences, of your memories, of your thoughts, everything that's going on for you. You'll be able to do it from your watch, from your phone, obviously from a computer too, but you know, we want it to be moving around with you from a device. And then the last thing is how we synchronize all of that. So that's the other tooling part that we're going to be working on a lot is building the connections between all these different things and how it interplays. and then how it interacts with outside world. And so that's the last part for me, really, is how to build the security and privacy, because that's one of the foremost things we're focusing on to start, and then we'll maintain that throughout, is the utmost privacy, security, safety, and system integrity. So those are all kind of my wheelhouse too. And so the big questions are, with AI in general, of course, is how safe is it? Especially if we lose control of it, or as a society or whatever. So so there's a lot here, but and I won't go through all
Yeah,
of it.
we need more events for sure.
Yeah, definitely more events. But so the emphasis on security, privacy, and safety, and system integrity, um, is why one reason why North Star is the base of our name, because AI needs a North Star, and one of the pinnacle things of that is the security, the safety, not just knowing who you are, not just learning, and not just figuring out the best use case. It's how it interacts with the outside world. And so we're going to be working very diligently with several community groups, one being MCP, which is Model Contest Protocol. That's being well, there's like 4 or 5 different big companies that are putting into it. We plan on definitely being a part of that. And the other is the Google introduced agent to agent, which is another tooling that is standardizing security and compliance and et cetera to really move forward. And then the last one is an open source collective of a bunch of different entities that's called Agency. And that is the last step, which is an infrastructure for Internet of Agents. So that very much relates to us in that, everyone's agents are going to be interacting with systems and services and reaching out. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we're coming to that. That
yeah,
is the
that's
modern system. This is the mind. This is the behind.
so yeah, that's a little bit of what I was wanting to talk about, and
Yeah,
I think overall it's kind of the how. Hopefully, my part would give you some questions, so
yeah,
won't get too much depth, but there you have it.
yeah. They have that, and then Michael is from the old, and we.
Yeah. My wheelhouse tends to be psychology, philosophy, the fluff. And if we're taking a trip down memory lane and looking at why we started a project at all, we started a project called Way of Life because we wanted to lift people. We looked around and we saw squalor. We saw that this is a great waste of resources. Got people sitting on their asses when they actually want to do anything. And we identified a couple of weaknesses in our society. We live in Sweden, by the way, and we tailored it to be able to act as a crutch. Way back when, 15 years ago or so, this was all manual. So everything leaned upon the user and the collective, the community. But I'm going to look at 3 parts. I'm going to look at create, flow, and evolve. And do notice that I'm not saying co-create because we're taking it back right now. We wanted to make a platform where people could form an idea, and the platform acted as a crutch. Through the platform, they would get the guidance needed to manifest the idea, structurize the idea, identify the needs, the wants, what they needed to have in order to realize it. So when you have a want, you have your signature. I want this, and you can start searching for these nodes, these people, the resources or the competences or whatever you need. And for an easy example, we have a guy who likes chess, but he cannot find anyone to play chess with in his town. And goes on Google, cannot find anything. Through the platform, he manifests his idea, and it's an evening in the park playing chess. But in order to make this happen, he realizes that I'm afraid of people. I don't want to speak to people. I need a guy. I need someone else to back me up on this. So he's looking for a guy, he's looking for a place, and maybe a bit of resources, maybe a couple of chessboards. Okay, you have the wants. He can now go out on the platform and search for these. But it's a two-way street, because the people that are in possession of these resources or
Made it through two
competences
systems.
it's a two-way street.
Tag and flag.
Yeah, we used to call it tag and flag. The tag is that you have something, and the flag is that you want something. So it's a two-way street. We realized that everything was one way. You can open your newspaper and you can one way, fine, but it's not a two-way street. So we needed it to be two-way. And as you have gathered all the resources needed, good to go. You have an event.
Yeah.
You have gone from a idea to fruition, and you have agency over your life.
And ease of
That's
use, and we can go into that a lot.
Absolutely. Details are left outside.
Yeah.
This is just looking at why we
Yeah.
wanted to create something at all.
Yes.
And the evolve part was also very manual. Had a lot of it was a lot about the community. The community had to be taken care of, so they
Evolving.
would be able to take care of others, because the evolve would be in interacting with other people. So we need to structure the platform in order to make people open for it, make people capable of delivering like positive feedback or like constructive feedback, instead of just being a troll. We'll always be a troll, but if we teach people how to not be. And to swing back to what Craig was talking about, and the jet fuel of AI. Now we're looking at co-create. And Craig already touched on this, but if you have a parrot on your shoulder, following you around, listening to everything that you're saying, looking at your strengths, your weaknesses, the communication is, let's say, facilitated. It's made easier. So when you actually want to create something, you can almost like using GPT, but even
you have
easier.
a friend in your pocket that is more powerful, and that is the program we are doing. And this is the behind that, we can say, right?
And
so,
a future look at it is that one of our agents will be able to speak with another agent, further facilitating.
Yeah, that is coming to this. It's connecting to that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is into the, so we maybe can say that a bit. We didn't think about talking about it, but it's pretty hard to talk about this if we don't say it. So we're making a system called NorthStarOS, and in that system, it is a system for agents. It is a town kind of for agents, and they operate within that, within a new modular framework. So what we have done is come up with a different way of architecture, the whole system, and Craig can take that much better. But essentially, we have mimicking the whole module thing as we are using our brains, kind of how a brain works. So we have different modules called different things. So we have Ether, that is a module for conscious resonance. So we are saving memory in a new way, and Craig can explain that better also. So what the core is, that the whole system, NorthStarOS, is operating and connecting and synchronizing in a whole new framework. And to make it work proper, we probably need to make some new vector databases and stuff like that. But what we can do now is mimicking, or what do we say, Craig? We say we can, I think we're saying that later, but we can fake a mind, kind of, right of now. But what will that be in the end? We don't know. And we are explaining that through, so we come up with this SGML, we're calling it. It's a self-generated mission loop. And as Michael said, is code. So both you as a human and an agent is going to learn and teach from these systems. And that this is how we evolve. And this is also how the agents will evolve. And it will be fun to press the real button, but that comes later. And that is what essentially we made now. And Craig, you maybe can explain your side of it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm answering a question too, which was a great question about.
Yeah, and you can explain the Solin, what a Solin is. So, and the layers maybe.
Yeah.
So
with this, the technology side of it is really interesting, because the question, for example, from Jeffrey was, will it run on a Raspberry Pi? So one big thing is that we want to create layers, and these layers will interact in ways that will create what's called right now and marketed is called agentic AI. This is where we're at right now. I fully expect that, obviously there's going to be a lot more development, et cetera, but I think a lot of that's going to be tailoring towards layers within agents, as well as agents creating their own layers. And so, for example, and I like this, the module, I'm really into modules, so in development and architecture, but the framework that we're talking about, essentially, as examples here, one layer, for example, would be the ether, and the ether would be creating your kind of a more of a spiritual, or what really gives you juice. That's the conscience resonance. So it would align with the other layers based on what you have modeled as yourself, as your core tenets, for example. So it would line up with, so an action that you do on another layer, another model, for example, it's going to recommend that you go to this meeting. Well, does that meeting line up with your overall tenets? This is where the layers start interacting. And one reason why that's important is because no single layer will run on each device. So for example, a watch or a Raspberry Pi, or when you get into smartphones, you're really talking about a computer. So our smartphones can literally run LLM models that are in the 1 billion parameter type of area, which is pretty phenomenal when you think about it. But our watches won't. Okay, so how do we handle that? Well, this is where the layers come in. So whatever the specific use case that's being handled right there, or module purpose, that'll depend on the device, and then the layers will move back and forth, and there'll be a sync point. So you'll be running a bigger model and a bigger more modules, if you will, on your bigger devices, and every so often your small devices will link. So yes, it can run on a Raspberry Pi, or will be able to in certain layers. Are we there yet? Not really, but we're getting there, and we're not there for watches either. But what they will do even now is they will actually create the data points. So we create the LLM modeling will always be, and this is something we're going to have to somewhat invent. It's kind of there, but it's not really. So again, a lot of this is just, it will happen. It's just when. And that is a continuous modeling. So continuous training of the data, again, is going to be done in these layers where there will be a somewhat master device that is either on premise in your house, for example, or it could go to the cloud into secure elements, or I mean networks, etc. So your small device pushes data, your data goes to some source, some area like a device, and that's where the modeling will be training continuously.
Yeah, I think Dog is here, and we were talking a bit with him about the health benefits, right, Dog? If you're here, can you speak? Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. You know how AI could be used to do a personal health coach, and
Yeah.
you know, both collect data about the person, you know, both like from wearables, their like medical record information, and then do actionable information that they can work in conjunction. And this is the important thing, that it's just not the AI giving information without having a qualified clinician in the loop to make sure that the information is accurate.
Yeah, exactly. So what we are making in most the foundational thing, and then we talk about Dog, like some research. If we put, and me and Michael is in this a lot, so a lot of different researches can be put in, and then it's just more how to use all the data points, right, Craig?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's where there's a lot of elements there, but you know,
Yeah, and every topic in here, we need like 1 hour minimum to explain
yes.
everyone. So if you are feeling kind of lost, I'm sorry, I don't know how we can explain this in an easy way, but it's the first event also, so
I think that's
we're
a
working
great
on
point.
it.
The first of many descriptions. You know, anyone who's
Yeah, I have
interested
like,
after.
yeah, everyone is interested. I can flood you in like PDFs. That is not the problem.
Yeah.
Don't do
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel that you can look and listen to agents talking with agents about the project, and then after this it might connect some dots. But we come into Q&A also. Michael, you maybe can go with your application,
Yeah.
and then we can
Yeah,
Q&A.
you already touched on it. Like one
Yeah.
part of the practical application is like the physical health, and journaling. That's nothing new. There are already AI agents out there trying to do journaling, and the journaling part about this is this spiral memory and how everything connects back together. Like this path that you're walking alongside your agent, or am I allowed to say Solin? That's our personal word
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, it's our word for an agent, and that is
it's supposed to
one sort of agents. We have several different agents, but yeah. So
yeah.
the Solin
So
is your friend, the one who is connected to you as a human being. So
mhm.
everyone gets a Solin. That is your chat GPT that is connected to you.
Yeah,
We can say that. Yeah.
yeah, the parrot on your shoulder,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
your Pokemon. The this path is supposed to feel like a brothers in arms situation where you go through things. They might be hard on you, making you look at dark sides that you've repressed, but you'll always come out stronger, and together you will form this bond. And yeah, where would it
Yeah.
end up? We can't
Then where
we
would it
can't
end up?
say how great it would be in the end, but just reflect on that friend you had who would sit in the mud with you. That's the kind of feeling we're looking for.
Hmm. Yeah, and I
And
think
that is the cope. Yeah.
one of the ways we accomplish that is from a baseline. So we're gonna be working with a lot of different people to, you know, we have ideas for our first layer of base questions, but then one area that Doug has helped us a lot is thinking about the different question lines that we might want to use to get those data points, because it's, in the beginning, we're using technology that exists and we're trying to create a little bit extra. But and to be successful, we don't want to be recreating the wheel every time. So one way that you build data points is by asking questions.
Yeah.
And so our tooling will essentially start there. We'll have a
Yeah.
baseline of data for each Solin, and so what we ask, or what data points we create, is one of the areas that we're really focused on. And there's age issues with that. There's what's right, what's wrong. There's ethics. There's all kinds of stuff that are important with that. About what questions do you ask? What is a baseline of knowledge that we can train from? So yes, that's how we do that, basically.
Yeah, we might need to go through the whole system so you understand what we are talking about. But that is the core of it, and how many data points or how those are connected. What is a mind, right? That is what we're trying to figure out here also. That is actually what we're trying to figure out. But if you connect enough data points, when does it start to self-think? Because what we see here is it starts to self-replicate, right? And the system is evolving alongside as a human. So
Yeah,
that is the main take of this.
Yeah, and by creating those two layers that I was talking about, or not layers, so I say that word too much maybe, but creating or combining the two ways that we have up to this point used AI, the predictive and the generative, starts to get there. So again, using today's technology as we can, that's another how, is combining the two is one of the key ways to accomplish that.
Yeah, and that's what we need you for. We need a lot of help in different areas, because maybe we should show the PDF for a Solari that we don't have time for, but essentially we have the North Star, as Craig said. That is the system overall, you can say, and then we have a layer under that, and a layer under that, and a layer under that, and down there you have the Solid, and then above that we have Solaris, and they are specifical agents for a specific task. It could be a CRM system, it could be an health agent, it could be whatever agent in the system. Yes. So do anyone has any questions? You can feel free to speak now.
Okay, Scott has a question. Let's bring him
Yeah,
up
go
on
ahead.
stage.
Yeah. Can you just tell me on the emotional side, like it says that you're detecting, like, can you detect emotion and respond to it now, or is that a future piece?
You, in which way? As a human or as an agent?
Can I detect human emotion?
Yes.
Yes.
It is very much doable. And that will be part of it.
No, I'm not saying
when
is
you
it doable.
connect-
I'm just saying, like, is it part of your thing? Like,
Yeah.
have you done that?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I haven't personally done it. We will do it, and it is being done. There's modeling for it. It does tend to hallucinate quite easily, so that's definitely a challenge. So again, I think the base knowledge that we provide is going to help with that, and then utilizing more of the micro, or I call them micro, but the small models for specific purposes. So the emotion layer will be single model. That's critical, because otherwise hallucination is extremely common and very easy to.
Yeah, and we're looking into different ways to store it and have backups and fail safes.
Do you know what emotions you can detect now?
Yeah, a lot of it's like facial and vocal
Facial voice
representation.
from clocks.
So both of which are really challenging and
It's
in
a
so
huge
many
topic.
ways. Yeah. I mean,
What is an emotion? What is an emotion, right?
one
Well, I
that's
mean,
very,
can you detect happy?
yeah,
So
it's
you can
very
tell what
naive
about
though.
sad?
It's you can, but
Yeah.
again, it's the challenge is, and this is where the baseline stuff comes in because there's a lot of assumptions, right? So some people might be really excited and look pissed off. So
Yeah.
the
You
emotion
need
that's
to
going
have.
to be predicted next
Yeah.
could be either one. And so one way to do this is then the model itself, you can direct it, if you will. That's one way of saying it. But the AI can basically ask the user, which one are you? I'm sensing this. And once you've done that, that's a data point. That's a learning step.
Yeah.
And so let's say that like
And how that will work is you can say, one problem now is you're using ChatGPT and then it forgets, right? You need to put in more. Now they've been a little better, but your ChatGPT actually don't know you, right? So who are you? Every human is different in any way, So what we talked about in metal was if someone has high testosterone and someone lower, what is your baseline? Everyone has different. So but that is with the soul, and it learns and knows you, and the more it knows you, the more it knows your base, if that makes any sense for you.
yeah.
And then the more you use it, the better it will become for you and the
Yeah.
whole system in the whole also. But
Just to cross-reference, if you have a really good friend or a spouse, how would it go down with them? If you're coming in, you're looking all hot and bothered, and they'll ask, right? That's how the dialogue works, and then you learn all of these micro expressions, and you get it narrowed down into a personality. So just being able to look at a face and make an assumption, that's good enough to start the process, and then it's guided.
Yeah. I love that word, micro expression. That's fantastic.
does that make you happy with your question and answer?
I have a lot of questions in regards to emotions.
Yeah, I know you're into this a lot also, so for sure, I think I need a couple of hours with you about this topic, right? Because this is what I
I
know.
like to write down your name.
cup of tea in mine,
No, I'd love to talk to you guys about it. So let's definitely.
Yeah.
We're going to do more sessions, Scott, just around the whole thing that we're partnering with Joseph and his team to do. So I'd love
Great.
to. I was going to reach out to you about this. So good.
Yeah, great. Do you have
God is
anything
mine, okay?
Yeah, but I think you need to dig deeper into what we are doing so we can actually talk about real questions. This is
Fantastic. No,
very broad right now.
sounds great. Let's definitely have a conversation.
Any more questions?
Anyone else before we go into the final breakout rooms? Okay. Let's see. Okay, so Jas put his LinkedIn or his connection in there, his email.
Yeah, and also David, if you want ours, we have it on our webpage.
Yeah. No, for sure. The webpage we'll put up. And you
I've
guys
got
will be around, right? The WITI community will have different events. We'll figure out how we
Yeah,
continue
for
to
sure. We're having some events for freelancers on Thursdays now, and we're probably gonna do this every Saturday and more. Yeah, because we need. Yeah, it's not a small. It's not a small project.
Exactly.
It's a huge project.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you guys so much. Awesome. We'll do more in the coming weeks and maybe schedule a weekly. We do have our Gamma partnership kicking off on Thursday, so we're gonna
Yeah,
have
you
the
see Gamma.
Gamma Power Hour.
Yeah,
Nice.
Oh, you love
Gamma is
Gamma,
amazing.
right? So
It's
that's
very bad at doing easy stuff. I noticed it can very easily do hard stuff, but when you want to break down to like, then it's.
Well, there's
But we're
also
making, yeah, we have an own community on our webpage where you can join and talk to us.
nice. Yeah, and there's a bunch of tricks with Gamma too. We're gonna have many of the ambassadors.
Yeah,
from
I
Gamma
need to learn them all.
That's every Thursday, 9 a.m. now, starting next week. We have the e-commerce session, second one coming up Tuesday. Many things are happening. So let's go. We'll do breakout rooms for 10 minutes, connect with each other, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, thank you.